I never expected my 20th birthday to change everything. Grandma showed up unannounced that evening, with tears in her eyes and an envelope in her trembling hands. Inside was a cashier's check for $120,000, her entire life savings. She gripped my shoulders and made me swear I'd use it for college and my future, warning me never to let anyone manipulate me out of it. I promised through my own tears, hugging her tight. That moment felt sacred. The next morning, my parents burst into my bedroom with my brother Tyler behind them. They already knew about the money, and they wanted every single penny of it to pay off Tyler's debts. I woke up to my bedroom door, slamming open. My mother Patricia stood there with her arms crossed, face flushed red. My father Donald loomed behind her, and Tyler leaned against the doorframe with that smirk I'd grown to hate over the years. "We need to talk about that check," my mother said, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. I sat up in bed, still groggy. "What are you talking about? Don't play stupid, Warren," Tyler said. "Grandma called Mom last night, practically gloating about how she gave you all that money." My father stepped forward. $120,000. That's what we're talking about. My stomach dropped. Grandma had mentioned she might tell them, but I didn't think it would happen so fast. "It's for my college education. Grandma saved that money specifically for me. Your brother needs it more than you do," my mother said, and I could hear the desperation creeping into her voice. "Tyler's in trouble, Warren. Real trouble." Tyler pushed off the doorframe and walked into my room uninvited. "I've got $78,000 in debt. Credit cards, car loans, some other stuff. It's crushing me, man." "Some other stuff?" I repeated. "You mean gambling?" His jaw tightened. "I had a rough streak. It happens." "You're 23 years old," I said, standing up now. "How did you even rack up that much debt?" "That's not the point," my father interrupted. "The point is that family helps family. You're going to give us that money to help your brother." I felt my hands start to shake. Not from fear, but from anger. Grandma gave that money to me for college. I'm an engineering major. Do you have any idea how expensive my last 2 years are going to be? Plus graduate school? "College can wait," my mother said. She actually said that. "Your brother's situation can't. Family comes first, Warren," my father added. "You've always been selfish. But I didn't think you'd stoop this low." "Selfish?" The word felt like a slap. I work 20 hours a week at the campus bookstore while maintaining a 3.7 GPA. I pay for my own food, gas, and books. I've never asked you for anything. And you've always been Grandma's favorite," Tyler spat. "Must be nice, being the golden child. Maybe if you hadn't dropped out of community college and blown every dollar Mom and Dad gave you, Grandma would trust you too." Tyler's face went purple. He took a step toward me, fists clenched. "You little—" "Enough," my father barked. "Warren, this isn't a discussion. You're going to hand over that check, and we're going to take care of your brother's problems. Then we can all move forward as a family." "I already deposited it," I said quietly. The room went silent. "You what?" my mother whispered. "I deposited it this morning through mobile banking. It's in my account." My father's face transformed into something I'd never seen before. Pure rage. He moved toward my desk and started ripping open drawers. "Where's the paperwork? The deposit slip?" "Stop it," I said, but he ignored me. He tore through my belongings like a man possessed. My mother started crying. Those manipulative tears I'd seen 1,000 times growing up. "How could you do this to us? To your own family? Grandma wanted me to have it for school." "I'm honoring her wishes." Tyler laughed bitterly. "You're honoring her wishes? That's rich. You know what I think? I think you've been poisoning her against us for years. Probably told her all kinds of lies so she'd give you everything. That's not true. Get out," my father said suddenly. "If you won't help this family, then you're not part of it. Pack your things and get out of my house, my mother gasped. Donald, you can't. I can and I will. He's made his choice. I looked at each of them. My mother with her crocodile tears. My father with his barely contained violence. My brother with his entitled sneer. Something crystallized in that moment. This wasn't about family. This was about control and money and the toxic dynamic that had defined my entire childhood. Fine, I said. I'll leave. That's when Tyler punched a hole in my wall, right next to my head. Drywall crumbled onto my shoulder. You're going to regret this, he hissed. We're your family. You can't just walk away. Watch me. My father grabbed my arm, hard enough to leave bruises. That money belongs to this family. Your grandmother is an old woman. She doesn't understand what she's doing. We're going to fix this. I yanked my arm free. Touch me again, and I'm calling the police. The police? My mother's voice rose to a shriek. You'd call the police on your own father? What kind of monster are you? But I'd already seen something that changed everything. On my father's phone screen, which he'd carelessly left unlocked on my dresser, there was an email. I only caught a glimpse, but it was enough. The subject line read, "Foreclosure notice. Final warning. 60 days. My blood ran cold. You remortgaged the house, I said slowly. You remortgaged it to pay Tyler's debts before, didn't you? The look on my father's face confirmed it. And now you're facing foreclosure. That's what this is really about. You don't just want to help Tyler. You want to save your house. You were going to take my college money, pay off the mortgage and Tyler's new debts. And then what? Pretend it was always family money? No one answered. They didn't have to. Get out of my room, I said. All of you. They left, but not before my father turned at the door. You have until the end of the week. Either you transfer that money to us, or you find somewhere else to live. And Warren, you're making a mistake you'll regret for the rest of your life. After they left, I sat on my bed and stared at the hole in my wall. My entire family had just revealed themselves to be exactly what I'd always suspected, but never wanted to admit. They were desperate, manipulative, and willing to destroy me to save themselves. I picked up my phone and called my roommate Marcus. Hey man, I know this is sudden, but any chance I could crash at your place for a while? I spent the next 2 days planning in silence. My parents barely spoke to me, but I could feel them watching, waiting for me to break. Tyler avoided me entirely, which was almost worse. The hole in my wall seemed to grow larger every time I looked at it, a reminder of how quickly things had turned violent. On Wednesday afternoon, while my parents were at work and Tyler was who knows where, I packed. Not everything, just essentials. Clothes, toiletries, my laptop, textbooks, important documents. I moved with quiet efficiency, years of trying not to draw attention to myself in this house finally paying off. Marcus had been incredible. When I'd explained the situation, he'd immediately talked to his parents. They had a guest room over their garage, and they'd offered it to me temporarily. No rent, just help out with groceries and yard work when I could. I'd almost cried at their kindness. I loaded my car in 3 trips, my hands shaking the whole time. It felt like I was doing something wrong, even though I knew I wasn't. This was survival. This was choosing myself for once. I left a note on the kitchen counter. I'm safe. Don't contact me. The money stays with me. Then I blocked their numbers. All 3 of them. It felt like cutting off a limb, but a diseased one. Unnecessary amputation. Marcus's house was 30 miles away in a quiet suburban neighborhood, where every lawn looked manicured and every house had a flag or a garden gnome. His parents, Robert and Diana, greeted me with hugs. Diana had made lasagna. I ate 3 helpings and helped with dishes, grateful beyond words. You can stay as long as you need, Robert said that night. Family shouldn't treat you like that. I slept better than I had in weeks. But peace never lasts. On Friday morning, I was at work at the campus bookstore, restocking textbooks in the engineering section, when campus police showed up. 2 officers approached me, their expressions serious. "Are you Warren?" the older one asked. My heart stopped. "Yes. Your parents filed a missing person report. They're claiming you disappeared, and they're worried about your safety." I closed my eyes. Of course they did. I'm 20 years old. I left voluntarily. I'm not missing. We understand. We just need to verify you're safe and confirm you left of your own free will. I did. I'm staying with a friend. I'm fine. They asked a few more questions, took notes, and left. One of them mentioned that my parents had been very distressed when they filed the report. I'm sure they were, distressed that their plan was falling apart. That evening, I was helping Marcus's dad install a new mailbox when my mother's car pulled into the driveway. Then my father's truck. Then Tyler's beat-up sedan. "Oh no," I muttered it. Robert straightened up, hammer in hand. "Who are they?" "My family." My mother got out first, her face blotchy from crying. Real or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. "Warren! Thank God you're okay." My father strode toward me with purpose. "We've been worried sick." "What were you thinking, just disappearing like that?" "I left a note." "I told you I was safe." "A note?" My mother's voice cracked. "A note isn't enough. We're your parents." Tyler hung back by his car, arms crossed, watching the show. Robert stepped forward. "I'm going to have to ask you folks to leave. Warren is an adult, and he's chosen to stay here. This doesn't concern you." My father said coldly. "Actually, it does. This is my property, and you're not welcome here." My mother turned to me, ignoring Robert. "Please, Warren, just come home. We can talk about this. We can work something out. There's nothing to work out. The money is mine. I'm keeping it for school." "You're being selfish and cruel," my father said. "Your brother is drowning in debt. We're about to lose our house. And you're sitting here playing house with strangers, while your own family suffers. Maybe you should have thought about that before you remortgaged the house to enable Tyler's gambling addiction." Tyler finally moved, walking up the driveway. "Watch your mouth." "Or what? You'll punch another hole in something? I'll do a lot more than that." "That's enough," Robert said, his voice firm. "You need to leave now, or I'm calling the police." My mother let out a theatrical sob. "You're turning our son against us. What kind of people are you?" Diana appeared at the front door. "The kind who don't tolerate harassment on their property. You have 10 seconds to get back in your cars." My father pointed at me. "This isn't over, Warren. Not by a long shot." They left, but not before my mother collapsed dramatically on the lawn, wailing about her ungrateful son. Neighbors came out of their houses. Someone started recording on their phone. It was humiliating for everyone. When they finally drove away, I stood there shaking. Marcus appeared with a glass of water. "Dude, your family is intense. I'm sorry. I should have warned you. This might happen." "Don't apologize," Robert said. "You didn't do anything wrong, but I felt wrong, guilty. Like maybe I should just give them the money and end all this chaos." Then I remembered Grandma's face when she gave me that check. Her hands shaking, her voice urgent. "Never let anyone manipulate you out of it." I wouldn't. I couldn't. On Sunday, Tyler showed up at the bookstore. Alone this time. I was ringing up a customer when I saw him browsing in the fiction section. My stomach clenched. When my shift ended, he was waiting outside. "Can we talk?" he asked. No anger in his voice. He actually sounded sad. Against my better judgment, I nodded. We walked to a bench near the student union. It was late afternoon, the campus quiet between semesters. "Look," Tyler said, "I know things got heated. I'm sorry about the wall. That was wrong." I waited. Mom and Dad are losing their minds, Warren. They're not sleeping. Mom's on anxiety medication now. They're terrified of losing the house. That's not my problem. But it could be. You could help. Just 20,000. Not even the whole amount. Just enough to get everyone breathing again. No. His jaw worked. Why are you being like this? We're family. Family doesn't threaten and manipulate. Family doesn't punch walls and file false police reports. We were dispirited, and you're still desperate. That's why you're here playing the nice guy. But I see through it, Tyler. I always have. His expression changed. The mask of contrition slipped. You think you're so smart, don't you? Going to your fancy engineering classes, working your little bookstore job, acting like you're better than all of us. I never said that. You didn't have to. He pulled out his phone. I recorded our conversation just now. Or at least, I recorded parts of it. And you know what's great about editing? I can make you sound however I want. My blood turned to ice. What? I can make you sound cold, heartless, abusive even. And then I'm going to post it online. Let everyone see what kind of person you really are. Let your professors and classmates and future employers see you for the selfish monster you've become. You wouldn't. He stood up, that familiar smirk back on his face. Watch me. Unless you transfer 20,000 to my account by tomorrow night. Your choice, little brother. He walked away, leaving me sitting there with my world crumbling around me once again. Tyler didn't wait until the next night. By Monday morning, the video was already online. I woke up to 73 texts and 46 missed calls. My social media was exploding. People I'd never met were sending me messages. Most of them were hateful. I watched the video with growing horror. Tyler had edited our conversation to make it sound like I was mocking my family's financial struggles. He'd spliced in audio that made it seem like I'd called my mother names. He'd added text overlays claiming I'd stolen money that belonged to the whole family and abandoned my dying mother. None of it was true, but it looked real. It sounded real. The video had been shared 800 times, then 1,000, then more. The comments were brutal. What kind of monster treats his family like this? I hope karma gets him. Someone should teach this kid a lesson. My phone rang. It was my girlfriend Amy. Ex-girlfriend, I should say. I can't believe you, she said immediately. I watched that video. How could you be so cruel? Amy, it's edited. He's lying. It's your voice, Warren. I heard you. Taken out of context and manipulated. Please, you have to believe me. I don't even know who you are anymore. Don't contact me again. She hung up. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. I tried to report the video, but the platform said it didn't violate their community guidelines. I tried to post my own response, but people just accused me of making excuses. By Tuesday, someone had posted my dorm address online. Campus security called me in for a meeting. They were concerned about my safety. They assigned an escort to walk me to classes. In my engineering dynamics lecture, Professor Harrison pulled me aside. Warren, are you okay? I've heard some concerning things. I'm fine, sir. It's a family issue that's been blown out of proportion. He looked skeptical, but nodded. If you need to talk, my door is open, but I could see it in his eyes. Doubt. Suspicion. The video had poisoned everyone against me. 3 classmates who I'd studied with for 2 years avoided me in the library. A girl in my thermodynamics class moved seats when I sat down. The isolation was suffocating. I stopped going to the dining hall. I couldn't handle the stares and whispers. My appetite disappeared anyway. I was running on coffee and adrenaline. My grades started to slip. I missed an assignment deadline for the first time in my college career. Then another. I couldn't focus. Couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that video or my brother's smirking face or the comments calling me a monster. Then on Thursday, everything got worse. A letter arrived via certified mail. My parents were suing me. The lawsuit claimed that Grandma was mentally incompetent when she gave me the money, and that they, as her primary caregivers, had legal right to those funds. They were suing for the full $120,000 plus damages. And the real knife in the gut? The court had frozen my bank account pending investigation. Every penny I had, including my own savings from years of work, was locked away. I couldn't access it, couldn't use it to pay rent or tuition, or even buy groceries. I sat in Marcus's guest room staring at the legal documents, and for the first time since this whole nightmare began, I felt truly broken. I had nothing. No money. No reputation. No girlfriend. No family. Just debt from the lawyer I was going to need, and a future that looked darker by the second. My phone buzzed. Another hateful message from a stranger. I turned it off and curled up on the bed. This was what rock bottom felt like. The lawyer's office smelled like old books and desperation. Janet Holbrook sat across from me, reading through the lawsuit with a practiced eye. She was in her mid-50s, with steel gray hair, and an expression that said she'd seen everything twice. "This is aggressive," she said finally. "Your parents are claiming elder abuse, undue influence, and mental incapacity. My grandma is 74, and sharper than most people half her age. She volunteers at a library 3 days a week, and does the crossword puzzle in pen. Can you prove that? I can get her medical records. She just had her annual physical 2 months ago. Clean bill of health. Mentally and physically." Janet nodded. "We'll need that. We'll also need documentation of the gift. Did your grandmother leave a paper trail? She has a notarized letter stating her intentions. She mentioned it when she gave me the check. Said she wanted everything documented so no one could claim otherwise. Smart woman. Get me that letter, the medical records, and any communication between you and your grandmother that shows she understood what she was doing. How much is this going to cost?" Janet's expression softened. "I'll be honest with you, Warren. Cases like this can run $10,000 to $15,000, sometimes more if it drags out. I know your accounts are frozen. I'm willing to work with you on payment, but I need something up front." I maxed out my credit card that day. $3,000 to retain Janet. The interest rate was going to kill me, but I had no choice. This was survival. The court date was set for 6 weeks away. 6 weeks of my life in limbo, while my parents dragged my name through mud, and Tyler's video racked up views. Janet and I spent hours preparing. She interviewed me about my family history, about Grandma, about every detail of that birthday gift. She was thorough and relentless, and I was grateful for it. "We need to get your grandmother on record," she said during our third meeting. "The judge needs to hear from her directly that she intended this gift for you and that she was of sound mind." So we drove 4 hours to Grandma's retirement community in Virginia. It was a nice place, with manicured gardens and a sense of peaceful dignity. Grandma lived in a 2-bedroom apartment filled with photos of our family from better times. She opened the door and immediately pulled me into a hug. "My sweet boy. I've been so worried." We sat in her living room, and I told her everything. The lawsuit, the frozen accounts, Tyler's video, the harassment. She listened with growing fury. "How dare they?" she said when I finished. "How dare they do this to you? Grandma, I need your help. We need documentation that you knew what you were doing when you gave me that money." She stood up and walked to her desk. From a locked drawer, she pulled out a folder. Inside was everything we needed. The notarized letter of intent, dated 3 months before my birthday. A mental competency evaluation from her doctor, done at her request. Bank statements showing she'd been planning this gift for over a year. Even emails to her financial advisor, discussing the best way to transfer the funds to me for educational purposes. I knew this might happen, she said. Your father has always been weak when it comes to Tyler, and your mother enables both of them. I wanted to protect you. Janet photocopied everything. This is excellent. This is exactly what we need. I'll testify, Grandma said firmly. I'll tell that judge exactly what I think of my son's behavior. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of hope. We drove back that evening. I was exhausted but lighter. Maybe this would work. Maybe justice would prevail. Maybe I could get my life back. The next morning, I woke up to find my car vandalized. Someone had spray-painted "thief" across the windshield in bright red letters. The driver's side window was smashed. And when I checked inside, my laptop was gone. My laptop, with all my schoolwork, all my notes, all the backup documentation for the lawsuit. I called the police. They came, took a report, seemed sympathetic but not particularly urgent about it. Campus security pulled footage from the parking lot cameras. The footage clearly showed Tyler walking up to my car at 3 a.m, breaking the window, stealing my laptop, spray painting the windshield, then walking away casually, like he'd just tied his shoe. We have him on camera, I told the responding officer. Right there. That's my brother. The officer sighed. It's a civil matter, sir. Family dispute. You'll need to handle it through the courts. It's theft and vandalism. Those are crimes. Unless you want to press charges against your own brother, there's not much we can do. These family situations, they're messy. Best to work it out privately. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He's on camera committing a crime, and he'll probably claim he was just retrieving family property or some such. Look, my advice? Get a restraining order and handle the money dispute through your existing lawsuit. They left. I stood there looking at my destroyed car, and the last ember of hope I'd felt flickered and died. The court hearing was in 2 days. I'd just lost all my backup documentation. My case presentation was on that laptop. My class notes for the semester. Everything. I spent the next 48 hours in a panic, trying to recreate what I'd lost. Janet worked overtime helping me, but we both knew we were walking into court disorganized and unprepared. The hearing was a disaster. My parents' lawyer, a sharp woman named Angela Winters, painted me as an ungrateful child who'd manipulated a lonely old woman. She suggested Grandma had been emotionally coerced. She pointed to my lack of organization as evidence of instability. Janet fought back hard, presenting the documentation Grandma had provided. But the judge, an older man named Pritchard, looked exhausted by the whole thing. This is clearly a family dispute that's gotten out of hand, he said after 2 hours of testimony. I'm ordering a 30-day continuance to allow both parties to attempt mediation. I'm also extending the account freeze during this period. Your Honor. Janet objected. My client needs access to his funds. He has tuition due, living expenses. Then he should have considered that before refusing to help his family, Judge Pritchard said sharply. 30 days. Mediation. I want to see both parties make a good faith effort to resolve this without further court intervention. Next case. We walked out of the courthouse in stunned silence. What does this mean? I asked Janet. It means we wait another month. It means your accounts stay frozen. And it means the judge is frustrated with both sides. I felt sick. Another month of hell. Another month of no money. No peace. No life. When I got back to Marcus's house, there was an envelope taped to the guest room door. Inside was a polite but firm letter from Robert and Diana. They'd been incredibly kind, but the situation was becoming too much. The vandalism, the constant drama, the scene my parents had caused. They needed their peace back. They were giving me 1 week to find other housing. I sat on the bed and finally let myself break down. Great, heaving sobs that came from somewhere deep and broken. I was homeless in a week, penniless indefinitely, and drowning in legal bills I couldn't pay. I'd tried so hard to do the right thing, to honor Grandma's gift, to stand up for myself, and I was being punished for it at every turn. That night, I slept in my car in the campus parking lot. The spray-painted windshield had been impossible to clean completely. The word thief was still faintly visible, mocking me even in the darkness. Living in your car teaches you things about yourself you never wanted to know. Like how cold it gets at 3 in the morning, even in spring. Like how every sound makes you jump, convinced someone's coming to hurt you. Like how quickly your dignity erodes when you're brushing your teeth in a campus bathroom sink. I'd been sleeping in my vandalized car for 5 days. The broken window was covered with cardboard and duct tape. Every morning, I woke up stiff and sore. I'd shower at the campus gym, where I still had access because tuition had been paid before the account freeze. Small mercies. I was eating once a day, whatever I could get from the campus food bank. They didn't ask questions, just handed me a bag of non-perishables and told me to take care. I lost weight. I didn't have to lose. My clothes hung looser. My face looked gaunt when I caught my reflection. My professors noticed. In materials science, Professor Chen asked me to stay after class. "Warren, I'm concerned about you. Your last 2 assignments were incomplete, and you missed the midterm entirely." "I'm sorry, Professor. I've been dealing with some personal issues." The video online? So he'd seen it too. Of course he had. Everyone had. It's complicated. But I'm trying to get back on track. He studied me with kind eyes. "You're a good student, Warren. One of the best I've had. But you're failing my class right now. I can give you an incomplete for the semester if you withdraw by Friday. It won't hurt your GPA. But you'll need to retake it. Another failure. Another setback." "Okay. Thank you." I walked out of that building and straight to my car. The check engine light had come on that morning. I couldn't afford to fix it. Couldn't afford anything. My phone was down to 5% battery, and I had no way to charge it because I couldn't run the car engine without wasting gas I couldn't buy. An academic probation notice arrived in my campus mailbox. I was failing 3 classes. My GPA had plummeted. If I didn't improve next semester, I'd lose my merit scholarship. I sat in that car and thought about giving up. Just signing over power of attorney to my parents. Letting them have the money. Walking away from college entirely. Getting some minimum wage job somewhere far away. And starting over with nothing. Maybe they'd been right all along. Maybe I was selfish. Maybe family was supposed to come first. No matter what. My phone buzzed. 1% battery left. An email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "You need to see this." I almost deleted it, thinking it was more hate mail. But something made me open it. Inside was a video file and a short message. "Your brother wronged me too. Thought you should know the truth." A former friend of Tyler's. The video was shaky, clearly shot on a phone from across a bar. But the audio was clear enough. Tyler, drunk and loud, talking to 2 guys I didn't recognize. "Once we get that money through the lawsuit, the old man and I are splitting it," Tyler's voice said. "Mom doesn't even know. She thinks we're doing this for the family, but Dad and I have a plan. We're taking the cash, and I'm finally moving to California like I've always wanted. Fresh start. No debt. No problems." One of the other guys laughed. "What about your brother, Warren?" Tyler's laugh was cruel. "He'll be broke and humiliated. Everyone already thinks he's a monster because of that video. He'll never recover from this. And honestly, good. He's always thought he was better than me. Going to his fancy college, getting his grades, being Grandma's favorite. Now he knows what it feels like to lose everything. That's cold, man. Duddery Lears. That's justice. He should have just given us the money when we asked nicely. Now he's going to learn what happens when you cross this family. The video ended. I sat there staring at my phone screen until it died. Then I sat in darkness, processing what I'd just seen. They'd planned this. All of it. The lawsuit wasn't about believing Grandma was incompetent. It was a con. A way to steal my money legally. And my father was in on it. They were going to take everything and leave my mother behind to deal with the fallout. I should have felt vindicated. I had proof now. Proof that I'd been right about them all along. But all I felt was tired. So incredibly tired. I leaned back in the driver's seat and stared at the roof of my car. The fabric was stained and sagging. The check engine light glowed softly. My stomach growled with hunger. My body ached from sleeping in uncomfortable positions. I thought about my grandmother, saving for years to give me this opportunity. I thought about how disappointed she'd be if I gave up now. I thought about the life I could have if I just held on a little longer. But I also thought about how much easier it would be to let go, to stop fighting, to surrender. I must have fallen asleep because I woke to someone tapping on my window. I jerked upright, heart pounding. It was campus security. "You can't sleep here," the officer said through the broken window. "Campus parking is for active students only. I am an active student. Then, go home. This isn't a campground. I don't have a home." His expression softened slightly. "Kid, I'm sorry, but I've got a job to do. You need to move along." I started the car. The check engine light blinked ominously. I drove to the far edge of a Walmart parking lot and turned off the engine. It was midnight. The lot was mostly empty except for a few other cars with people who probably had nowhere else to go either. I wasn't special. I was just another person who'd fallen through the cracks. I pulled out the eviction notice from Marcus's parents and read it again by the dim light of a street lamp. 1 week had turned into 5 days. I'd overstayed. I had nowhere to go. My phone was dead. My laptop was gone. My money was frozen. My family wanted to destroy me. My reputation was ruined. My academic career was crumbling. My body was failing from stress and malnutrition. I sat there in that Walmart parking lot and seriously considered just giving up on everything. Not just the money. Everything. But somewhere in the back of my mind, I heard Grandma's voice. Never let anyone manipulate you out of it. I closed my eyes and made a decision. I was going back to see her. One more time. To tell her I couldn't do this anymore. To apologize for failing her. Tomorrow. I'd drive the 4 hours tomorrow and tell her everything. And then maybe she'd understand why I had to surrender. I made it to Grandma's retirement community by noon. The drive took almost 5 hours because I had to stop twice when my car started overheating. Each time, I sat on the side of the highway wondering if this was some kind of sign that I should turn back. But I kept going. Grandma opened her door and took one look at me. Her face crumpled. "Oh, Warren. Oh, my sweet boy." She pulled me inside and made me sit while she heated up soup. Real food. I ate 3 bowls while she watched with worried eyes. When I finally finished, she sat across from me and took my hands. "Tell me everything." So I did. The frozen accounts, the vandalized car, living in parking lots, failing classes, the video Tyler had posted, Judge Pritchard's dismissive attitude, the hopelessness of it all. And finally, the video from Tyler's former friend, showing the conspiracy. Grandma listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "I need to show you something," she said finally. She went to her bedroom and came back with a thick folder. Inside were printouts of emails, text messages, and voicemails, dozens of them. All from my mother and father. Dating back months. "Give us the money you're planning for Warren. He doesn't need it. Tyler needs help. You're being selfish, Mother. Family helps family. If you give Warren that money, you'll regret it. We'll make sure of that." The messages got progressively more threatening, more desperate. more revealing of their true intentions. "I've been documenting everything," Grandma said. "Every call demanding I change my mind. Every threat. Every manipulation attempt. Your father called me 15 times the week before your birthday, trying to convince me to make the check out to him instead of you. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want you to hurt more than you already were. But now I see that was wrong. You needed to know what you were up against." She pulled out her phone. "And I'm not the only one who's been paying attention." She made 3 calls. The first was to someone named Dorothy, a former judge. The second was to Harold, a retired private investigator. The third was to Mary Ann, who'd worked as an investigative journalist for 30 years before retiring. "We're having a meeting tomorrow," Grandma announced. "All of us. We're going to fix this." "Grandma, I can't afford more legal help. I'm drowning in debt as it is. These are my friends. They're doing this because I asked. No charge. We take care of our own." The next morning, 5 of us sat around Grandma's dining table. Dorothy, the former judge, was a tiny woman in her 70s with fierce eyes. Harold looked like someone's friendly grandfather, but moved with the precision of someone who'd spent decades investigating people. Mary Ann had salt and pepper hair and a notebook already half filled with notes. "Let me be clear," Dorothy said. "What your family is doing is not just unethical. Parts of it are criminal. The harassment, the vandalism, the fraudulent lawsuit based on knowingly false claims. We're going to dismantle their case, piece by piece." Harold spread out his own folder. "I did some digging after your grandmother called yesterday. Your brother Tyler has outstanding warrants for unpaid traffic violations in 2 counties. He's also been banned from 3 casinos for suspected card counting and had his account frozen at an online gambling site for fraudulent activity. But it gets better," Mary Ann said. "I reached out to some contacts at the local paper. They're very interested in your story. Young man trying to go to college. Elderly grandmother trying to help him. Family launching smear campaign and fraudulent lawsuit. It's compelling. I don't want media attention," I said quickly. "You already have media attention," she countered. "Your brother saw to that. But it's all one-sided. It's time to tell the truth." Dorothy pulled out her phone. "I also made some calls to the nonprofit Legal Aid Society I used to volunteer with. They're willing to take your case. Pro bono. Your lawyer Janet is good, but she can't do this alone and you can't afford her rates long term." I felt tears starting. "Why are you all helping me?" "Because your grandmother asked us to," Harold said simply. "And because what's happening to you is wrong." Over the next 6 hours, we built a case. Dorothy reviewed all the legal documents and found 3 procedural errors in my parents' lawsuit. Harold revealed he'd been investigating my father's employment and found something significant. "Your father works for a medical supply company, correct?" "Yes. He's been there for 12 years. He's been embezzling from them for the last 18 months. Small amounts at first, then larger. His employer has been building a case quietly. They're about to press charges." The room went silent. "He's been stealing to cover Tyler's debts," I said slowly. "That's why they're so desperate for my money. If they can get it before the charges hit, they can disappear." "Exactly," Harold confirmed. I spoke to a contact at the company. "The arrest warrant will be executed within 48 hours. Your father is looking at federal wire fraud charges. 3 to 5 years. Minimum." Mary Ann was already typing on her laptop. "This changes the narrative completely. This isn't about a family dispute over a gift. This is about a father who's embezzling money trying to steal from his own son to avoid prison. We need to move fast," Dorothy said. "We need to get this information to your lawyer and to the judge before your father tries to flee." "He won't flee," I said. "He's too arrogant. He thinks he's going to win the lawsuit and fix everything. Then we make sure the judge knows exactly who's standing in his courtroom." They worked like a machine. Phone calls were made. Documents were filed. Mary Ann wrote an article outline. Harold compiled his investigation into a formal report. Dorothy drafted a motion to dismiss the lawsuit and unfreeze my accounts. By evening, we had a plan. The new court date is in 3 days, Dorothy said. We'll be ready. All of us will be there. I don't know how to thank you, I said, my voice breaking. Grandma squeezed my hand. You don't have to thank us. You just have to promise me you'll keep fighting. Promise me you won't give up. I promise. That night I slept in Grandma's guest room. In a real bed. With clean sheets and a full stomach. I slept for 12 hours straight. When I woke up, Harold was in the kitchen with Grandma, looking at his phone with a grim expression. The arrest warrant was executed this morning, he said. Your father was taken into custody at his office. Federal agents. It's already making local news. I sat down heavily. What about my mother? At home. Apparently she had no idea about the embezzlement. She's been trying to call your father's cell for hours. The house of cards was finally collapsing. Not just on me, but on all of them. My phone, which I'd charged overnight, started buzzing. Tyler. Calling from a number I didn't have blocked. I let it go to voicemail. Then he called again. And again. Finally, I answered. What do you want? You need to help Dad. His voice was panicked, nothing like the cocky tone from his bar video. They arrested him. Federal charges. This is serious. I know. We need money for a lawyer. A real lawyer. You have to help. No. Warren. He's our father. He's a criminal who tried to steal from me to cover for you. You're both getting exactly what you deserve. You're really going to let him go to prison? I'm going to let justice happen. Just like it's about to happen to you. What are you talking about? Your warrants are about to be executed. The private investigator found everything. The gambling debts, the banned casino accounts, the outstanding violations. And we have that video of you admitting to conspiracy. It's all going to the prosecutor. The line went dead. I sat there holding my phone, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Not quite happiness. Not yet. But something close to it. Hope. The courthouse was packed. Marianne's article had run that morning in the local paper, with the headline, College Students Fight Against Family Fraud. It had been picked up by 2 regional news stations. People were paying attention now. I walked in with Grandma on one side, and Janet on the other. Dorothy, Harold, and Marianne followed behind like some kind of justice squad. I'd never felt more supported in my life. My mother sat alone on the other side of the courtroom. No Donald, no Tyler. She looked small and broken, nothing like the commanding presence who'd barged into my room demanding money. When our eyes met, she looked away quickly. My parents' lawyer, Angela Winters, looked distinctly uncomfortable. She approached Janet before the hearing started. We'd like to request a continuance. Absolutely not, Janet said firmly. We're here. We're ready. And we're moving forward. Judge Pritchard entered, and everyone stood. He looked considerably more alert than last time, probably because he'd read the morning paper. He studied the packed courtroom with surprise. Well, he said, settling into his chair. This is quite the turnout. Let's proceed. Angela presented her case first, but her heart wasn't in it. She stumbled through arguments about Grandma's supposed incompetence. But every point she made was immediately countered by the documentation we'd prepared. Then Janet stood up. Your Honor, we have significant new evidence to present. For the next hour, she methodically destroyed my parents' case. Grandma testified, sharp and articulate, about her mental competency and her clear intentions. She produced the notarized documents, the medical evaluations, the financial planning records. Harold presented his investigation, showing Tyler's pattern of fraud and gambling, my father's embezzlement scheme, and the timeline that proved they'd been planning to steal my college fund all along. Dorothy highlighted the procedural errors in the original lawsuit and the bad faith filing. Then Janet played the video. Tyler at the bar, drunk and boastful. admitting the whole conspiracy. The courtroom was silent, except for Tyler's recorded voice. Warren will be broke and humiliated. He'll never recover from this. And honestly, good. Judge Pritchard's expression grew darker with each piece of evidence. Angela tried to object several times but was overruled. My mother started crying quietly in her seat. Your Honor, Janet concluded, this lawsuit was filed in bad faith by individuals who are now facing or about to face criminal charges for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. My client has been harassed, threatened, vandalized, and libeled. His accounts have been frozen for weeks, leaving him homeless and unable to pay for basic necessities. We're requesting immediate dismissal with prejudice, immediate unfreezing of all accounts, and that the plaintiffs be ordered to pay all legal fees and damages. Judge Pritchard sat back in his chair. Is Mr. Tyler Warren present? No. Your Honor, Angela said quietly. And Mr. Donald Warren? He's currently in federal custody, Your Honor. The judge nodded slowly. I've been practicing law for 32 years. I've seen a lot of family disputes. But this? He gestured at the evidence spread before him. This is one of the most egregious cases of family manipulation and fraud I've encountered. He looked directly at my mother. Mrs. Warren, did you know your husband was embezzling money? She shook her head, tears streaming. No, Your Honor. I didn't know anything. I thought we were trying to help Tyler. I thought Warren was being selfish. I was wrong. I was so wrong. You participated in a fraudulent lawsuit against your own son. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Warren. She looked at me directly for the first time. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know I'm sorry. Before the judge could respond, the courtroom doors opened. 2 FBI agents walked in, followed by 2 local police officers. Your Honor, one of the FBI agents said, we apologize for the interruption. We have a warrant for Tyler Warren's arrest. The judge raised an eyebrow. He's not present. We're aware. We also have additional charges to file against Donald Warren related to wire fraud. And we need to speak with Warren's legal counsel about evidence pertaining to conspiracy charges. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Judge Pritchard banged his gavel. Order. Everyone settle down. He looked at the FBI agents. You can coordinate with counsel after we conclude this hearing. He turned back to us. I'm granting the motion to dismiss with prejudice. The lawsuit is baseless and filed in bad faith. All of Mr. Warren's accounts are to be unfrozen immediately, effective within the hour. Relief flooded through me so intensely, I thought my legs might give out. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm ordering both Donald and Tyler Warren, when apprehended, to pay all legal fees incurred by the defendant. I'm also issuing restraining orders protecting Warren from all 3 plaintiffs. They are not to contact him directly or indirectly for a period of no less than 5 years. He looked at my mother. Mrs. Warren, I'm not including you in the fee assessment because I believe you were manipulated by your husband and son. But you are included in the restraining order. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. I understand. This court is adjourned. The gavel came down with finality. I stood there in shock as people came up to congratulate me. Grandma hugged me tight. You did it, sweetheart. You held on. Janet was grinning. We need to get you to the bank immediately to verify the account release. The FBI agents approached. One of them, a woman in her 40s, introduced herself as Agent Chen. Mr. Warren, that video evidence you provided is crucial to our case against your father and brother. We'd like to interview you about the threats and harassment you experienced. Of course. Whatever you need. They arrested Tyler 3 hours later at his apartment. He'd been packing, apparently planning to run. They found $15,000 in cash hidden in his closet, likely stolen from somewhere. My father's arraignment was the next day. The charges were extensive: wire fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy, and several other financial crimes. His lawyer argued for bail, but given the evidence of flight risk, it was denied. He'd await trial in federal detention. The local news ran the story that night. Marianne's article was picked up nationally. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. I wasn't the ungrateful son anymore. I was the victim who'd fought back. People who'd sent me hate mail sent apologies. My engineering professors reached out offering support. Amy, my ex-girlfriend, called. "I'm so sorry, Warren. I should have believed you. It's okay. I understand. Can we talk? Maybe get coffee?" "I don't think so. Too much has happened. But I appreciate the apology. I meant it." I wasn't angry anymore, just tired and ready to move forward. The bank released my accounts the next morning. I stood at the ATM and checked my balance. $123,000. The original gift plus the small amount of interest it had earned. I transferred $3,000 to Janet immediately, paying off her retainer. Then I paid off my credit card. Then I bought a plane ticket back to campus. Then I paid for 3 months of rent at a small studio apartment near the university. That weekend, I moved into my new place. It was tiny, just a studio with a kitchenette and a bathroom. But it was mine. No one could kick me out. No one could demand I leave. Mine. Marcus helped me move my few belongings. "I'm sorry about my parents," he said. "Don't be. They were dealing with a lot. I understand. You're a better man than me. I'd be furious. I've been furious for weeks. I'm tired of being angry. I enrolled in summer classes to make up the ones I'd failed. My professors worked with me, giving me incompletes instead of failures. My GPA could be salvaged. My scholarship was safe. Grandma visited once I was settled. She brought homemade cookies and a new laptop to replace the one Tyler had stolen. "I'm so proud of you," she said. "You could have given up so many times. But you didn't." "I almost did. But you didn't. That's what matters." My mother tried to reach out through a mutual friend. She wanted to apologize in person. I wasn't ready for that. Maybe someday. But not yet. Dorothy helped me draft a response through the friend, making it clear I needed space but wasn't completely closing the door. Donald's trial was set for 8 months away. Tyler took a plea deal. 18 months in federal prison for conspiracy and fraud, plus 5 years probation. He'd serve his time, then start over, hopefully away from me. My father's case was more complex. The embezzlement charges alone could put him away for 4 years, and the conspiracy charges added more time. His lawyer was pushing for a plea deal, but prosecutors weren't budging much. He was looking at a minimum of 3 years, possibly 5. I didn't attend the hearings. I'd given my statement to the FBI and the prosecutors. That was enough. I didn't need to see him sentenced to find closure. Closure came in smaller ways. Getting an A on my first exam back. Cooking dinner in my own kitchen. Sleeping through the night without jumping at every sound. Having enough money in my account to buy groceries without anxiety. I started seeing a therapist on campus. Free through student health services. She helped me process the trauma, the betrayal, the months of stress. It helped more than I expected. 6 months after the courthouse victory, I established a scholarship fund through my university. The Warren and Eleanor Foundation, named after Grandma and me. It provided support for students experiencing family financial abuse or manipulation. Grandma cried when I told her. "You took something terrible and made it meaningful," she said. I learned from the best. I graduated on time, 2 years later. Bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, summa cum laude. I'd gotten my GPA back up, made new friends, and even started dating someone new. Her name was Sarah, and she knew my whole story. She admired how I'd fought back. Grandma sat in the front row at graduation, wearing a bright purple dress and a corsage. She cheered louder than anyone when they called my name. After the ceremony, she handed me a card. Inside was a check for $20,000. For graduate school, she said. I set aside a little extra, just in case. Grandma, you've already given me so much, and I'll keep giving as long as I can. That's what family does. Real family. I hugged her and felt truly, completely happy for the first time in years. Looking back now, I can see how that terrible period shaped me. It taught me resilience, self-worth, and the difference between toxic obligation and genuine love. It showed me that sometimes the right choice is the hardest one. That standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. I learned that real family isn't about blood. It's about who stands beside you when everything falls apart. Grandma, Janet, Dorothy, Harold, Marianne, Marcus and his parents, my professors, even strangers who sent messages of support after the truth came out. That was my real family. The people who tried to destroy me, they taught me what I never wanted to become. My father showed me how desperation can corrupt even parental love. Tyler showed me how entitlement can poison a soul. My mother, in her way, showed me how enabling can be its own form of abuse. But they also taught me something valuable. They taught me I was stronger than I ever imagined, that I could survive homelessness, public humiliation, legal battles, and family betrayal, that I could take the worst moment of my life and transform it into purpose. That $120,000 bought me more than an education. It bought me freedom, dignity, and the chance to become the man I was meant to be. It funded not just my degree but my independence, my self-respect, and eventually, my ability to help others facing similar struggles. The scholarship fund has helped 37 students so far. 37 people who were being pressured to give up their futures for family members who didn't have their best interests at heart. 37 people who now have a chance to break free and build the lives they deserve. Grandma is 80 now, still sharp as ever. We have lunch every Sunday when I'm in town. She tells me stories about her life, and I tell her about mine. She's the only person who truly understands what that money meant. Not the dollar amount, but the freedom it represented. I'm glad I gave it to you, she tells me often. I'm glad you fought for it. I'm glad too, Grandma. More than you know. As for my parents and Tyler, my father served 3 years and 8 months. He was released on parole last year. I heard he's working at a warehouse, living in a small apartment, divorced from my mother. We haven't spoken. Tyler finished his sentence and moved to Nevada. Last I heard, he was working at a restaurant and attending Gamblers Anonymous meetings. I hope he's getting help. I hope he's changed. But I don't need to know for sure. My mother reached out on my graduation day. Just a text. Congratulations. I'm proud of you. I understand if you never want to speak to me again. But I needed you to know. I didn't respond that day, but 6 months later, I did. We meet for coffee once a year now. Supervised, boundaried, careful. She's in therapy, working through her own issues. We'll never have a normal mother-son relationship. Too much was broken. But we have something. A fragile truce built on honesty and maintained distance. That's enough for now. Maybe forever. And I've learned that's okay. The most important lesson I learned through all of this. That protecting your future isn't selfish. It's survival. That walking away from people who hurt you, even family, isn't giving up. It's choosing yourself. That sometimes the people who are supposed to love you will try to destroy you, and you have no obligation to let them. Justice sometimes takes time, but truth always finds its way to the light. And that's worth fighting for, no matter how hard the battle gets. I'm 30 now. I have a good job as a mechanical engineer. I have my own house. I have friends who feel like family, and family who deserve the title. I have a life I built from the rubble of that terrible year. And I have Grandma, still wearing purple dresses and making cookies and reminding me that real love doesn't demand. It supports. It protects. It sets you free to become who you're meant to be. That's the legacy of that $120,000. Not what it bought, but what it taught. Not the education it funded, but the person it helped me become. And that's worth more than any amount of money could ever be. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice between family expectations and your own future? How did you handle it? What advice would you give to someone going through something similar? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might help someone else who's struggling right now. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about overcoming adversity and finding strength in difficult times. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message about choosing yourself and standing up for your future, please share this video with them. Sometimes people need to know they're not alone in their struggles. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that no matter how dark things get, there's always a way forward. You're stronger than you think, and you deserve to fight for your own future. Take care of yourselves, and remember, real family lifts you up. It doesn't tear you down. Until next time, stay strong and keep fighting for what's right.